WNBA training camps open up today with the Chicago Sky opening their preseason May 5th on Friday against the Dallas Wings. We're going to talk about that and what are some of the biggest storylines to watch from the Chicago Sky in that first preseason game. We're also going to go around the WNBA for news. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
All right, Sky fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. We about to jump into it. First, we're going to go around the WNBA for news, and the first thing up is that the Phoenix Mercury and the Suns, they're owned by the same team, actually are canceling their TV deal. And so they had a TV deal with Bally Sports, who actually filed for bankruptcy, missed some payments to some teams as well, but they're moving away from that and going to be broadcasting locally in Phoenix and Tucson. But more importantly, they're actually going to a new straight to consumer, so a streaming platform straight to consumers. They don't have to have a separate service or anything like that. And while they're initially going to probably take a hit, it said that the Phoenix Suns specifically are going to lose tens of millions initially in the first year on the deal. But in the long term, it opens them up to make so much more money. When you look at, they're going to be moving around from being available to about 800,000 homes to 2.8 million homes by moving to this new streaming service. Now, details on that are still going to be released upcoming. But hey, this is a kind of monumental deal in sports, and it's something that actually the NBA is going to be looking for when they renew their TV deal, and the WNBA, who renewed their TV deal, I think in 2020, and it runs through 2027, but that's going to be coming up for the WNBA as well, as they're going to be probably looking to, add a little bit more. Streaming is going to be a big thing when it comes to sports, and you have like Hulu, who already talks about being able to broadcast live sports, and some other Amazon Prime, who broadcast the Commissioner's Cup and some choice WNBA games as well. Expect streaming to be kind of the next major milestone for sports in general, right? And we know, yes, you have League Pass and NBA League Pass and things like that, but ultimately, taking the restructuring of TV deals, the way the TV deals worked for so long is that's why you had blackouts in some areas if you lived in a local market, and that even though if your team isn't necessarily playing in that city, you kind of have some games blocked out. That's probably going to go away with the new TV deals, and really the NBA is going to set the tone with that. We know that the WNBA, while they trend set with things like an in-season tournament, they really kind of follow the NBA's league when it comes to these streaming deals and TV deals and things like that. Not that they make as much money as the NBA does in those deals, but they kind of formalize their deals in a similar way. So the Phoenix Mercury being one of the first teams that really kind of take streaming under their own control, and now they're moving on to a separate service. We'll see how that ends up working out in the long run, and I think all eyes are going to be on this for the Suns and the Mercury, just to see what this ultimately looks like. And so, hey, we'll see. It's an exciting time, especially if you're in the X's and the business side of things. If I know some people don't, everyone doesn't get into that. Some people just like watching sports, but somebody like me, especially with having this platform, I do, also look at the business side of it and what that means for money wise and things like that. And so, hey, could be an exciting deal going forward. But speaking of money, Brittney Griner has also come out and said that she's done playing overseas. Unless it's with the USA national team, she's not going to play overseas again. And considering everything that she went through, her book's coming out. This is her first time really speaking on it. It is what it is. And it makes sense for her. And it sucks that, these WNBA athletes are kind of forced to, to really make the money that they deserve by playing overseas and really playing year round, and don't really get the chance to really take advantage of an offseason. Before a player like Brittney Griner, who and I think there are going to be some WNBA players as well who just don't. We saw Athletes Unlimited and the talent pool that was there, and I really suggest it's on the WNBA League Pass if you're subscribed there to really check out Athletes Unlimited and that tournament there, because I really do think as that league continues to grow, it's really going to, hopefully be another avenue to where some of these WNBA players don't have to go overseas, right? It still sucks that they have to, play in another league, basically. But considering it's 6 to 8 weeks as far as the league, they can make some money there. Of course, not as much as they'll make overseas, but they're not forced to leave their families. They're not forced to go over in other places. And I really hope eventually, as Athletes Unlimited grows, it really, that partnership with the WNBA becomes a little bit, stronger in a way that they that they work together a little bit more. I love the fact that it's on WNBA League Pass. I think that was a huge asset to both brands as far as the WNBA and Athletes Unlimited. And I think as that relationship continues to grow and it becomes, the awareness of it continues to grow and it becomes a little bit more of a must-see thing for WNBA fans, they can really hopefully work out a partnership. And not to say that it'll ever become like a secondary league officially to the WNBA, but I do think that the benefits of that tournament and the benefits of that outlet for basketball players in the WNBA could be huge in the long run. So I want to see that continue to grow. Those opportunities as well continue to grow for WNBA players league round. And so especially if Brittany Griner does decide, she hasn't said anything about it. I don't even know if Athletes Unlimited is on her radar. It's kind of just one of my things in coming into that. But if it does end up being that, and her even saying that she wants to become a voice of more people who are detained, Americans who are detained in other countries, and she can be the face of that. And I regardless of how she got into the cause or not, the fact that she's really taken that under her wing and it being something that that's become important to her after what she went through can be huge. And so I like that. And as far as the Athletes Unlimited part of it, that's just my own thing to kind of throw in that and to see what happens there. But continuing on the kind of mindset of money, right, is that WNBA revenue doubled last season. When you look at the WNBA is expected to bring out between 180 to 200 million in combined league and team revenue this upcoming year. Last year it was 102 million in 2019. So you look at the growth that they've had, right? Over the last couple of years. Now, the downside of this is that players only earn 9.3% of that. Now, the WNBA salary cap and league structure is completely different from NBA. Yes, team and league revenue is factored into the revenue sharing. With NBA teams, it's not really like that with WNBA teams. When you look at the base salary, right, the total share of the revenue that went to WNBA players was 9.3 in the fiscal year of 2020. That ended September 30th, right? And so that was down from 11% in 2019. So again, it's the fact that the revenue sharing is dropping, right? And part of that is that when you look at the NBA makes 51% of basketball-related income as part of their CBA. The WNBA does not have that. Their collective bargaining agreement they just signed in 2020. It's through 2027. The league or the players can opt out in 2025. It is expected that the WNBA Players Union is going to opt out of that deal. And so right now, base salaries are locked into a set rate for as long as they're on that contract. Now, with an increase for 3% that they're expected to get, it looks like the minimum is going to go up from $62,000 to $234,000. Now, that is a huge revenue if it stays on the same percentage that it is now, right? And they're also factored in 3% for inflation is what's factored into those numbers. So again, that could be a huge new base for the WNBA. When you look at the salary, the base salary jumping from $62,000 to $234,000. Now, I don't expect it to be that number. I'm sure the WNBA is going to try to, work that collective bargaining agreement to where, because that would be a huge cut into revenue. And considering that jump, I don't necessarily expect that. But if that does happen, right, if it jumps up that high, you can hopefully that creates a lot more space for WNBA players to not have to go overseas and play. If you look at the base salary being $234,000 up from $62,000, that really changes things drastically for WNBA players and what they make. So, and when you look at also the viewership for the WNBA finals this past year was up 171% from 2021 to 2022. The league awareness is growing. And when you look at also the NCAA women's basketball also being appointment level television and the tournament being what it is, do not be surprised if we see a viewership rise hugely again in the WNBA. So, those are kind of the things to look out for. And I'm all for athletes getting what they deserve. And yeah, the CBA is a little bit different than the NBA from the WNBA, and that's fine. But as the WNBA grows, we absolutely need to see the players' profits as well and their revenue sharing grow with that as well. And so if that does, that could be huge for the WNBA. And let's hope that that's the case reasonably, of course, as well. But all right, that's enough from news for around the WNBA. Let's get into the Chicago Sky specific stuff. So training camp opened today for the Chicago Sky. And I know a lot of Sky fans are itching. We can't wait to see what this new look roster is going to look like, how James Wade is going to use this roster as well, how the rotations is going to fall out, things like that. Stu, now no longer now being she's not going to be here for the WNBA season. Unfortunately, that is what it is. But really looking at this new look Sky team, it's so much new with this team and so much just change, right? When you look at Courtney Vandersloot not being here anymore, Allie Quigley not being here, Candace Parker being gone, Azari Stevens being gone. We lost so many people who are highly important to our rotation that just how new this team is going to be, how this team comes together, it's going to be fun to see that anyway. But then you look at, the new players that we have. We have Courtney Williams, Elizabeth Williams, Isabel Harrison, Elena Smith, right? Those players, and as far as players that were already here, like a Dana Evans and what their role is going to grow. How are they going to step up now that those veteran pieces are going to be gone? Kalia Copper as well, right? Having Ka now on this being the de facto franchise player. Not to say that she wasn't that before. Everything was kind of built around what Ka did, right? But now having Kalia Copper on this team and just everything really being built around her skill set. This team is now built around her, right? And every player that's come into this roster, they've talked about how Kalia either reached out to them or how they saw themselves fitting next to Kalia Copper. And that is important. So, it's so much new. And we open up our preseason May 5th against the Dallas Wings. We have Marina Mabry on this team who actually left the Dallas Wings, as well as Isabel Harrison as well. And so, that's going to be not a measuring stick game by any stretch of the imagination. I would hesitate to call any preseason game a measuring stick game anyway, but just to look at what that could mean for the Chicago Sky, right, is important. And so, I can't wait to see what the offense looks like. I can't wait to see what the defense will look like. What's the rotations, right? Does Dana Evans or anybody else really have a bigger Rebecca Gardner? What's going to be her role now? She's, expected to step up into an even larger role now. I've already said on the episode, I can absolutely see her being the 6th woman of the year if the Chicago Sky win enough, for being in that conversation at least, right? So all things to look out for as the preseason opens for the Chicago Sky is that rotation. How James Wade uses that rotation. Who steps up the most and really steps into their new roles and owns that new roles early on? Who forces James Wade to play them? Like a Dana Evans, who didn't play much last season, right? So those are all things that, I'm looking extremely forward to for the Chicago Sky season. Kalia Copper as well, just how that motor and how this team is really going to be a reflection of her and the heart that she plays with, the level of determination she plays with, the grittiness she plays with. This team is all really coming around there. So when you look at the schedule, a couple of important dates. May 5th, first preseason game. That's next Friday. We will be live for a post-game show right after that game ends. You ain't got to ask. I'm going to give it to you straight. We'll be live. That game is at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. We'll be live there shortly thereafter that game, so expect us to be live there. We're gonna have some fun. The first live postseason game postseason show that we've had almost ever on the channel. Everything has not really been live. We're really putting a focus on live post games on this channel going forward this season. So that's gonna be the first one with that. And then the next preseason game that we play after that is actually May 7th against Indiana. But then we open up our season officially May 29th against the Minnesota Lynx. So be on the lookout for that. Hey, the season's here. The season is officially upon us, and we got so many great things planned for you. Guests, Steve-O's going to be around here regularly as well on this channel. The same Steve-O who helped me with the WNBA draft show. So be tuned in for that. We're going to have fun when he's here, and we'll have some rotating guests as well. We'll always have somebody in here, not guests. We'll always be dropping content. We are going to be, I promise you, one of the most consistent and regular WNBA Sky-focused shows around. And you can also get your WNBA news and analysis here. We'll be doing some general WNBA things as well, but Sky is our focus, Sky is our home, and we're going to be locked in, and hopefully you guys stay tuned in. But that's it for me for today. Make sure you're following the show at Chicago Sky Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoSkyCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for our mailbag episodes, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Sky related because of you guys. And I'll see you guys the next time we go to Skytown. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.